So one thing I've been getting asked a lot lately is how I feel about these shoes. Everyone knows them as the disc golf shoes. They're made by Idio, and I've been wearing them for the last couple of months, and today I'm gonna give you all my honest feedback. We're gonna hop into it. We're gonna talk about things that I love about them, some things that maybe you might wish were different, but ultimately I can start off by saying that I absolutely love these shoes. They're not paying me to say this or anything like that. They did send these to me for me to test out and give my honest review of, but ultimately I can say right out the bag, I absolutely loved these shoes, and I very much so enjoyed wearing them for the last couple of months. Before we hop into breaking these shoes down in my very specific style, I want to let you guys know that Jesse from Trash Panda is going to be doing his own video on these shoes as well, kind of diving into some more technical things and whatnot. So definitely go and check that out as well. I have been wearing these every round for the last 3 months or so. I've run them through the paces. I've wore them to DDO. I've worn them in so many different tournaments and all this kind of stuff. And again, like I mentioned earlier, I love the shoes. I genuinely love the shoes. One thing that I do want to point out that has nothing to do with the shoes, but was one of the first things that I noticed when I got them in the mail, was that they come in this little shoe bag, which is great because like my tournament that I played yesterday, it monsooned and my shoes got soaking wet. I have never played in rain like that before. When I got into my car, I was able to put on my other shoes and I was able to put my Idios into this bag, and I just think that's a super cool touch. Packaging is really important to me, and I love the fact that they did that. So we're gonna start off with pros of the shoes, and then we're gonna talk about a couple of cons that I see could be potential for some of you and maybe not for me, and then some very specific to this test run as well, which I've been told are not going to happen in future test runs. But first off, the first thing that I noticed about these is that they are extremely comfortable and feel like shoes you've had for a very long time right out the box. One thing that I dislike about buying trail shoes, especially like Adidas ones and all that kind of stuff, your first couple of tournaments or your first couple of rounds with those shoes are honestly kind of uncomfortable. And I imagine that a lot of you have had that experience as well. When I first put these on, they felt like I'd had them forever. They felt like shoes that I had just completely beat in. Very soft. The tongue is a great material. They don't have any like sharp edges around the ankle, which is something that you'll notice a lot of times with trail shoes and hiking shoes that try and keep you sturdy and all that kind of stuff. And so ultimately, like right out the box, they feel good. They feel really good. They feel really, really comfortable. And that wasn't something that I was necessarily expecting from the shoes. So I was really, really happy when I found that out. The second thing that I was really looking forward to testing with these shoes was the nose. They have a really, really good like nose drag guard and all that kind of stuff on top of them, which is perfect. You guys know that I am a big sidearm thrower, and depending on my lie and the throw, I'll drag my foot a lot. It messed up a pair of my Nikes. I was wearing a pair of Hokas before this that did hold up really well, but I started to see some wear and tear in those on that back foot as I drug for sidearms. So if you're a big sidearm player, these toe covers, toe caps, whatever you want to call them, they're clutch, man. They protect the shoe, they protect the toe from any sort of damage that honestly eventually can kind of mess with the waterproofing of the shoe. Some of my past shoes, because of my toe drag, then became not waterproof. And even if you're just walking through the dew on the grass in the morning, it can get inside the shoe. So this toe cap on these has been really, really, really good. Now, another thing about these shoes that has been amazing is the grip on the bottom of the shoes. Obviously, that's really important. Whether you're dealing with slick tee pads or you're dealing with weird footing or anything like that, I've never really had any issues of slipping. And honestly, the grip has held up really, really well for the last couple of months of me playing a lot of disc golf. Probably close to 2 to 3 rounds a week, honestly, if not more sometimes. And so I really have worn these shoes a lot, and I've only worn them for disc golf. I haven't worn them otherwise. So anything that has been done to them in terms of wear and tear is all from disc golf and me only using them for disc golf. And like I said, they've held up really well. Now, again, there is one thing about them that has kind of frustrated me a little bit, and we'll talk about that at the end. But I reached out to them about that and they had a great response to it. And so I'm excited for them and their brand and the fact that they're developing this. And again, this is their first shoe. And honestly, for a first shoe, it's really freaking good. Like I said, these things are super, super comfortable. I feel really confident with my footing in them. And I just love wearing them. Now, one thing that I've noticed that I actually enjoy about them, that I think some people might not enjoy, is the lack of structure, if you will. A lot of people like to play in almost hiking boots, things that have a lot of ankle support and feel like they really hug your feet, whether that's like the high top Vans or some legitimate hiking boots or some of the Adidas and all that kind of stuff. I feel like a lot of times they make my foot feel uncomfortable and kind of under pressure. These Idios don't do that. I don't have ankle problems or anything like that. Sometimes if my ankle does start to hurt, it's just from throwing a lot of sidearms, and I'll put a little tight sock on it or whatever and it's fine. And so these shoes have just felt really, really comfortable in that regard as well. Now, again, if you're somebody who is desiring a more structured shoe that feels like you could almost do construction work in it or go hike a mountain, then these shoes probably aren't for you. But if you're someone who just wants a comfortable athletic shoe that also provides a lot of the good things that trail shoes provide, like being waterproof and good traction, the good toe cover, all of that, then these are great. And again, I'm telling you, there's no breaking these in. Like, you get them out of the box and they're good to go. And that's honestly the thing that I've loved about them the most, is that comfortable aspect. I've never felt insecure in them in regards to throwing or foot placement or anything like that. And again, like, I like them a lot and they're not paying me to say that. So for me, the lack of structure isn't an issue. It's actually something that I prefer in my shoes. I don't like to feel like my feet are being suffocated. But I wanted to mention that as a con, if you will, for some of you who want structure like that. So for me, that's not a con. That isn't something that I find wrong with the shoe. But again, I wanted to mention it because this is an honest review of the shoe. And so if you're somebody who really, really likes those just tight hugging shoes, and these aren't for you. These don't fit loose. And again, like I hope that I'm expressing this correctly. I'm not saying that these are loose fitting or that you feel insecure or unsteady on your feet or anything like that, because you don't. They fit perfectly. They fit exactly like I would want a shoe to fit. There's breathing room in them, which allows my feet to just feel good, especially as it moves and plants and turns and all that kind of stuff. And I love them. But the biggest issue that I have found is with the sole and some of the glue on it. And so after I noticed it about a month ago, I sent a picture to the guys at Idio, and I'm gonna read this word for word. I said, thought that I'd send this over, noticed some separation on the sole and the inside of both feet, not affecting the feel or comfort of the shoe. I just wanted to share it. And they responded and said, this has been happening with this batch of samples. So again, I don't have a final product shoe. I have a sample shoe, which is what companies do in order to find these sort of problems. It's like a beta process with a game or anything like that. You have to go through test or batch samples to find errors that may be happening. They said it's not indicative of the final product and has never happened before. Even with shoes that have 80 hours on them, it's definitely been addressed. So I appreciate that response. I sent it to them and they were honest in saying, yes, this has been happening, but within this small batch, and it's been addressed. So if you're someone who has ordered this, or even if you're someone who, say, did the Kickstarter or whatever the fundraising they did, and you haven't gotten your shoe, it's probably because they're trying to give you the best shoe that they possibly can, and so they're working on it. But for me, it's become a pretty big issue with this specific run. Now, I can buy some shoe glue and put it in there, but if I had paid for these, I would be pretty frustrated. But again, thankfully, when I reached out and they mentioned it to me, he said, that's just with that test run. So I know that when I get another pair of them that is a final product, this type of thing won't happen. And I appreciate their attention to detail. I appreciate them, again, admitting to the fact that they noticed that with a test run and that they addressed it. So ultimately, my only problem with these shoes, legitimately, has been the separation of the sole. And that isn't even really an issue because they've addressed it, and it was only within this sample pair or this sample batch that they sent me. You guys are seeing people like Nate Sexton and Adam Hammis and others crushing it out on tour, rocking the Idios. And man, I love them. I'm gonna keep wearing them. I'll probably put some shoe glue in these or try and get a new pair of the new ones. But like, if this didn't happen to these shoes, I would say these are the perfect disc golf shoes. And even with this happening, I still like them better than any of the Adidas that I've had. So I've had lots of Adidas Terex shoes. I had some Nike Pegasuses, which were comfortable, but they were not good. They did not hold up. Like literally after a month of wearing those shoes, I got a hole in the toe and they were now no longer waterproof. Extremely frustrating. I had some Hokas that I wore for a really long time, and I actually loved those. They were a little weird to walk in just because they're trail running shoes. They're designed to propel you forward on trails. They're not disc golf shoes. And these Idios, I will gladly say and put my name on it, that these are the best disc golf shoes that I've had, barring the sole issues with this one, which, like I said, isn't a real issue because they've addressed it. If you own Idios or know anyone that does, why don't you comment down below their feedback or your feedback on the shoes. For me, like I said, I love them. I think you guys should definitely give them a check, give them a look. Even if you can just find somebody you know with a similar size to you, you can try them on, see how they feel out. They're great shoes. Again, go check out Jesse's video over at Trash Panda, see what he's doing with these. And yeah, see you guys in the next video. Peace out.